Welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Today is Wednesday, June 18th. If you were just tuning in, we just finished going over the two championship series. We saw the Stanley Cup champions be crowned, the Florida Panthers, their second straight year raising Lord Stanley's Cup, the greatest trophy in all of sports. We also have a potential closeout game tonight about to tip off any second now between the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have a 3-2 series lead over the Indiana Pacers, looking to win both of their first ever championships in their current city's franchise for the Indiana Pacers. We're going to take a look at some stuff going around the world of college football, though, because that has continued to move. There is more conference realignment updates going on, specifically with the Pac-12, after it completely shattered down to just the Pac-2 with Wazoo and Oregon State. They look to rebuild. They have currently 8 members, 7 full members. You need 8 football members to be a full conference again. They're having some trouble bringing in that final guy. Right now, all signs seem to point towards a potential union with the Sun Belt's Texas State. And there's lots of reasons for that we'll get into in just one second. But before we do, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Or if you're on YouTube, you can use that super chat feature. If you do either of those two things, a message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you do have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to ask, go ahead and throw that in the comments. Throw it in the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody so much for sticking around, talking some sports with me here on a beautiful Wednesday, June 18th. But like I was saying, we are going to get into everything you need to know about what's going on with this potential Texas State and Pac-12. First, in overview. Right now, the Pac-12 is sitting at 8 total members, 7 football members. The 8th member being Gonzaga is a basketball only or doesn't have a football program. The bylaws state that you need 8 full members. You need 8 football participating members to be a conference, at least for college football. You need 8 full members. Right now, they don't have that. They're looking to get one more. And the favorite seems to be Texas State. Texas State right now, a hub in Austin, one of the biggest growing cities in the United States, not only gives you a foothold in the rich state of Texas, but it also gives you a really interesting program in Texas State. Texas State right now is currently in the Sun Belt, a team in the Sun Belt West that is kind of that foothold in Texas for a Sun Belt division, a Sun Belt conference that is kind of upper middle class when it comes to conferences, right? You have your top 1% in the Big Ten and the SEC. Then you have your rich guys when you're talking about the ACC and the Big 12. Pac-12, probably, if they're a full conference, would fall next with the American and the Sun Belt doing everything it possibly can to potentially claw onto that group as opposed to the group behind it, which is going to be the CUSA and those kind of conferences now. But there is a lot to love about what this team brings. Texas State has strong football presence. You get that foothold in a state of Texas. You get a place to build your offices. Texas State is most likely going to be a team. Texas State's president made a cryptic post about beavers in a river in Austin, Texas, right? Potentially hinting at that move from the Sun Belt to the Pac-12. We talked about the rumors connecting them together. Like I said, they want that new HQ. They want a strong base of marketing. They tried to get to Las Vegas, right? It didn't work. UNLV did not go without Nevada, and they were just promised a lot more in their current conference, so they stayed put. The Pac-12, though, is still looking for that city to be their stronghold, and Austin, Texas would be a really nice market to have. Geographically, Texas State has, again, in that Sun Belt, a Sun Belt conference that is a lot more further to the east. The Appalachian regions, your Carolinas, your mountain states, your Alabamas, your Mississippis, Louisiana. They've got a couple schools over there, one in Arkansas as well. Texas State kind of felt like an outlier. It's the furthest out there when you have to travel between them and James Madison, which is the two most geographically isolated teams in this conference. But even JMU has App State pretty close to it. It has ODU pretty close to it. There's still a little bit of geographic tie. So it makes a little bit of sense if Texas State wants to leave. The buyout for Texas State, though, we're looking at $5 million right now. It does double to $10 million on July 1st. So if we're looking at a potential deal here, it most likely is going to come in the next few weeks. I know there's been some other rumors. Teams like Tulane have kind of said, no, we're out. We're not joining the Pac-12. We're staying in the American. Memphis is an interesting one. The buyout for them is $25 million. The Pac-12 said they could cover about $2.5 million. I don't know. That obviously was not enough for Memphis to bite the bullet and pay the other $23 million. But maybe for Texas State, they can say, hey, we can match, we can make the next $2.5 million if you promise to get us that $2.5 million to help with our buyout, Pac-12. Once you get up to that $7.5 million, it's not going to be easy. As far as the Sun Belt's plan, if Texas State decides to leave, they're going to be looking for new members. There's two teams on the top of that list. Right now, it's between Louisiana Tech and Western Kentucky, two teams in the Conference USA right now that have been near the top for a lot of their different sports. LA Tech, Louisiana Tech just made the College World Series. That's a huge thing that's driving, obviously, Coastal Carolina is one of those big competitors, one of the Final Four, advanced to the top three today so far in the College World Series. They won one in 2016. They have been a really big baseball and softball conference is the Sun Belt. So that's kind of nice for them. You also have ULM and Louisiana in the same state as you try and build that regional rivalry. You have three teams now. You can make a little triangle of hate over there in that conference. It should be fun. Strong baseball program. The other one is Western Kentucky. We talked about the Appalachian region. They fill in with that App State, with that JMU, a little bit more to the east with that ODU. You have guys like South Alabama kind of in that area. This is what you're looking at, right? It's not necessarily the most central to the Sun Belt and their holdings, but it's not too far out. They've got a good base for a program. They have made a bowl game the last couple of years. They're a fun football team. They've got solid athletics all around. That's an interesting case in Western Kentucky. It does seem like Louisiana Tech has the quote-unquote lead when we're talking about which would happen, but it does have to see if Texas State goes first. There's been a lot of rumors. Obviously, conference realignment's gone crazy the last couple years with the Pac-12 dying and the complete shakeup of how we take a look at college football between conferences and playoff formats and everything. Everything is changing at such an incredibly fast pace. I have no idea where it takes us. I think Texas State does, at the end of the day, leave the Sun Belt for the Pac-12. It's a sexier brand name. It would give them a lot of really strong holding with the potential to be reconsidered to the Power Five. I don't know how that would go, but Texas State, at addition to that conference that has Washington State, has Oregon State, has Boise State, has Colorado State, San Diego State, lots of states over there, fits the naming region right there. I think that's a good fit for them. That's where I think they'll most likely end up, and it seems like Louisiana Tech is the name that's floated around for the Sun Belt if they are to make a move. Now, a more intriguing example, if Texas State goes, who else gets poached from the Sun Belt? We've kind of seen how it comes in waves. The Mountain West basically all joined the Pac-12. Now the Mountain West is struggling. They're going out and picking a couple guys from other conferences. As those conferences get picked clean, we're going to start to see it. If the Sun Belt starts to get picked clean, which teams are going to get saved? I think programs like App State, like JMU, are going to get saved. I think programs like Texas State, with its big market, would get saved. But a lot of those teams, I know you have the Atlanta market with Georgia State and Georgia State and Georgia Tech right there. They've got two schools right there in Atlanta. They could most likely get poached from the Sun Belt. But it's going to be really interesting to see as the conference realignment conversation continues to grow and change. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Where does Texas State end up? What happens to the rest of the Sun Belt if they do get poached there? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, around the horn, some big news from baseball, from Shohei Ohtani making his mound debut for the Los Angeles Dodgers, to Davey Martinez and his comments about the Washington Nationals, as they have now lost 9 games in a row. Swept by the Marlins, on the verge of getting swept by the Rockies. Is his job safe? We'll talk about all that and more coming up next here on the GSMC Sports Podcast.